75BS Missoula.
Yo, what's up, Montana? Welcome in. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, the ESPN MT app, the ESPN Live. We're going to standout high jumper for the University of Montana. She's won multiple Big Sky championships during indoor. She's won one during outdoor as well. She's one of the best high jumpers in the league currently. And she'll join us live right after her practice gets done at 4:30. We also have our latest Treasure State Stars, highlighting some of the best individual performances from around the state of Montana. We'll give you an update on what's going on around the wide world of Big Sky Conference women's golf. The championships are underway. The second of 3 rounds is in the books. Lauren Greeny, our guest on the show yesterday from Montana State, she was one of the hard chargers of the day. She shot a 2-under round of 69 to move up 7 spots, so she's certainly in the mix, as are a couple of the other young ladies from both Montana and Montana State. So we'll give you an update on that before the end of the first hour. Hour number 2, we'll talk all things NBA playoffs. The NBA playoffs begin this evening, so excited about this. Who are some of the dark horses? What are some of the top storylines? What do we think of these opening round matchups? We'll go through all of that. And we'll also do a little Montana Greats where we'll address and commentate on some of the best individual athletes from various small towns from around the Treasure State. It's an extension from the book that our good buddy Jeff Welch, formerly of 406 MT Sports, wrote a couple of years ago. It's always just a fun exercise that stimulates conversation about small-town Montana. So there you go. That's what's coming up here on Nuanez Now. You want to stream the show, you always can, 1029ESPN.com. Click on Listen Live. That's where you'll find the stream of this radio station, not just this show, but this radio station, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. You can also always use the ESPN MT app. You can also now use Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitch. We're streaming everywhere. Also, if you'd like to be a part of the show, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. And all guests join us via the Elevated Tax and Accounting phone line. Elevated Tax and Accounting, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch. You want to save money on your taxes this upcoming year, visit elevatedtax.com. It's funny because I was lamenting the letdown that happens when football season ends, and it's more of just a scheduling letdown than it is like an actual emotional ailment, right? We go so hard during football season, and it's not that we don't work hard all the time, but football is such a different animal. You have all this content that you produce throughout each week that then leads up to this culmination every Saturday that is a game, and then half the time we're on the road, so Sunday's totally smoked because you're either coming back from somewhere or you're relaxing because you hardly get a chance to do that throughout the week. And then, boom, you're back into game mode with press conferences and the haphazard days on Mondays. So then when all that stops, for a moment you think, oh my gosh, I'm bored. What am I doing? And then you still get several weekends of NFL football after the college season ends. That gets you by. But then Super Bowl ends, and now you're like, what the heck are we going to do? What the heck are we going to talk about on the show? Then basketball starts to gain some momentum, and you start getting into that. And then that ends, and the NCAA tournament culminates. And then the Masters saves you for a week. And now here I am feeling the same way. I'm sitting here thinking, man, what's going on? Like, what? I always have these mental fears in my head where I'm like, what the heck are we going to talk about for the next couple months? And then I realize we've done this for almost a decade. We always have good times. In fact, I think some of our summer shows are some of our best just long-form conversations. We track down great guests. We have insightful conversations. We do a bunch of stuff to remember the past. We share a bunch of memories. We have a lot of open-ended debates that end up being pretty entertaining. So have no fear. I have no fear. I just always have this moment of letdown before then I get re-engaged and get inspired, and we're rolling forward. So plenty of stuff coming your way in upcoming months. But please be a part of the conversation. Let us know. 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. Let us know what sort of things you want us to talk about. We love the engagements. We appreciate them. Questions, comments, concerns, all that sort of stuff is always great. The NBA playoffs is about to be underway, and that's certainly a savior. That's something that I can certainly get behind. I think there's been a lot of drama in the NBA this year. I think that's going to influence the playoffs. You also have these upstart teams. I mean, that's like one of the main narratives of the playoffs is, can Oklahoma City parlay this unbelievable regular season and actually go win the West or even win the championship? Same thing with Cleveland. Or is it just going to be a Boston Celtics repeat? Or are the Lakers going to be back in the mix? Is Houston a contender or a pretender? We're going to get to all those questions for the NBA playoffs in hour number 2. But that's certainly the thing that I'm most excited about upcoming in the immediate future. And I'm also excited about the upcoming major championships in golf. It's funny because it used to be that the Masters would happen, and then it wouldn't be until June that you had the U.S. Open, and then July for the British Open, and then the PGA Championship rolled around in August. Well, now the PGA got moved up to May, so you get another hit of major championship golf coming pretty soon. And it sort of condenses the way the majors are going, but I'm very much looking forward to the major championships as well. And I also think that it's going to be a fun time to dive in to track and field. There's some great college marks going on. We'll get to some of those here in just a little while. And there's also some awesome high school storylines. Will we see as impressive of Montana track and field marks as we have these last couple years? That remains to be seen. There's been some excellent high school track and field athletes in Montana the last couple years. Always there's been good to really good, but there's been some nationally elite, like pushing the envelope big time, getting recruited on a high national level. We've seen the rise of track and field prominence among Montana athletes as much as almost any sport in this state. Will that continue? I'm hoping yes, and I'm thinking yes. So that'll be fun to cover. And certainly the Grizz are much better in track, and the Cats have reached a truly regionally elite, if not knocking on the door of nationally elite level in track. So that'll be fun to cover as well. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Andrew, what do you think? What are some of the things that keep you going this time of year? What sort of things are you looking forward to in the wide world of sports? Is there any soccer stuff going on right now that you're into?
Coulter, UEFA Champions League quarterfinals are wrapping up today and tomorrow. So it's going to be the semifinals of the top club soccer tournament in the world happening in the next month or so. Usually the UEFA Champions League final is the last big soccer game of the season before we go into the summer. So that'll be happening in the next couple weeks. I'm glad you asked.
Who's the favorite? Like who's like the favorite in this tournament right now? Who's the number one in international soccer right now?
Barcelona stomped their way into the semifinals today. Paris Saint-Germain, of course, has a great team as every year, even after Kylian Mbappe left for Real Madrid last year. They also made it into the semifinals today, so that's 2 of the 4 teams in the semis, and I would guess they'll be 2 of the favorites.
Very good. Any local soccer stuff going on that you're excited about? Probably Soccer Day Missoula is coming up relatively soon, right? That's usually a nice summer event here in Missoula.
Coming up at some point this summer, I imagine we'll have a preview of that. Grizz Soccer's sort of wrapping up their spring schedule. They finished their practice today. I think they've got maybe one more spring game left. Unfortunately, they don't play in Missoula in the spring. They haven't in the last couple of years.
So do they do like friendlies?
Yes.
Instead of doing like an inter-squad scrimmage?
Go over to MSU Billings. They've done that. Usually, I think they might have gone over to Pullman this year as well. They've been down to Pocatello in recent years, but kind of slow for that. But I just love, you don't have the big events. You don't have the big peaks and valleys of the NFL schedule where you're going to have huge games every Sunday in the NFL season. But I just love this part of the summer where if I come home and I want to watch sports, I know that there's going to be NBA or NHL playoffs on. And even if not that, there's going to be a baseball game on. So it's just sports sort of fades into the background a little bit. But I like that. You just feel like you can always turn on the TV and watch something and usually watch something pretty important with the playoffs going on in both basketball and hockey.
And you don't feel obligated, though, to like you do sometimes during football and then like the NCAA tournament, right?
Exactly. You don't want that this time of year, Colter, because what do you want to do? You want to be going outside. You don't want to be planning your entire weekend around sitting down and watching the NFL for 12. I love doing that in the winter. Love sitting down and watching football and college football and the NFL for 8 hours a day. This time of the year, don't really need that. I want to be outside.
Totally agree. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Andrew Houghton chiming in here on your Tuesday. Let's talk about a piece I didn't get to ask you about yesterday, Andrew. We've seen a handful of transfers out of the Montana State women's basketball program after their 30-win campaign this last year, including Mara Dykstra, who has yet to find a new home, but she was a first-team all-conference player last year. Natalie Picton, who was the star of the show for the Bobcats against Ohio State. And then yesterday, Lexi Deedon, who looked like she was en route to being an All-Big Sky player 2 years ago for the Bobcats. Then she suffered a devastating knee injury that basically cost her a full year of competition and cut into this last year. She actually I thought she was out of eligibility, but she ended up gaining eligibility, another year of eligibility. And I think that at the end of the year, they were thinking that was going to be a part of their plan. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if this was a mutual parting of ways or if Deedon wants a new opportunity or if she just wants a fresh start after she sort of fell out of the rotation because of the injury, or maybe the injury still lingers and she wants to go a different level. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with her. It's just an intriguing storyline because she's from Missoula. So then there's the automatic, okay, are the Lady Grizz going to go recruit this young lady? They didn't really the first time around, so now they get another shot. But will they? I don't know. I do know that the Lady Grizz have already filled several of their roster spots. We're going to talk about that later on this week. I have that planned out for a different segment, analyzing some of those acquisitions Lady Grizz have made out of the portal. So I don't know if they have roster room because they really haven't lost anybody. But that's always just something that's going to pop up in the conversation when you do have a Missoula girl who leaves the rival and now is on the open market. So I guess we'll start small picture and then move to big picture, Andrew. Natalie Picton announced on Sunday that she's going to Sacramento State. This, to me, is a head-scratcher. What do you think?
I think on the surface, yeah, it's tough to know why she made that move. I mean, you're going to a team not only in the same conference, right? I mean, it's not like there's going to be – not like you're taking a big jump in NIL money. Sacramento State, right? And maybe that might not have even been an option for her. But not only that, you're going to the team in the conference that probably has the best or second best returning point guard in Bente Versteeg at Sacramento State, depending on how you feel about, Matt Koenig coming back in Montana too. But
Versteeg's better.
Versteeg's an all-conference player, no doubt, along with Matt Koenig, right? So
I'd actually say she's the best returner in the conference.
What does that look like for Natalie Picton? It's also interesting because you can't really play those two girls at the same time, right? Natalie Picton can't really play off ball. Bente Versteeg definitely can't play off ball because she can't shoot that well. She does everything else well on the court, but she's not a great outside shooter. Maybe you have Versteeg handling the ball on offense and Picton playing off the ball there, but then you got a cross match to get back because Natalie Picton is too small to guard anything except point guards. So that just leads to some weird matchups on the other end. So I don't know. I mean, Aaron Kohlhoff, he's put together decent rosters those last couple of years at Sac State. He's actually done a good job holding on to some of his talent. Bente Versteeg primary among that. They haven't really hit the level that we would expect to see from the talent that they have on that Sac State team.
They were their biggest disappointment in the league last year.
Yeah, I mean, they came back.
They had top 3 talent. They finished 8th. And they won 1 game in the Big Sky tournament.
And they didn't make any noise at the Big Sky tournament. No, I mean, they were a head-scratching team, which is why I'm glad you used that word talking about Picton going there. Kohlhoff, I think, is going into his 3rd year now. He sees what he puts together there. I mean, clearly he can recruit talent. Clearly he made the pitch to Natalie Picton to get her to Sacramento. I don't know what it does for them. I struggle to see what it does for her in terms of playing time or opportunity.
Yeah, and then you wonder, the portal closes in a week. Maybe the offers just weren't there. Maybe you just had to grab what you could get. I don't know. There's so much speculation that could be done here, necessary, maybe even irresponsible to do such things. I just thought it was a weird fit. Maybe there's something we don't know about Versteeg. Maybe she's move. I don't know. It just seems like Picton. If you were just she was a true freshman starter at Montana State. Then she had to back up Esmeralda Morales last year. Morales was the MVP of the league, and Picton was one of the best reserves in the league. But does she want to go do that again? Does she want to go back up the best point guard in the league again and just at a different spot? It's totally driven by school, California. I don't know. You can read into this so many different ways, looking at the responses on her Twitter, like her sister was saying, see in California. Maybe her sister wants to live in California. There's so many factors that go into it. So it's not always just as black and white as the playing situation, the playing scenario.
No, that's right, and that's why it's irresponsible to speculate. And I guess the other thing is, regardless of what we think about the situation, I'm glad she's staying in the Big Sky Conference because Natalie Picton's been one of my favorite players to watch the last couple of years. And, you hope for the best for her there at Sacramento State. I think that what she did the last 2 years in Bozeman has been really, really impressive. I mean, I was so impressed with her coming in her freshman year and having to run the point when Dylan Phillip got hurt. I thought she was really impressive that year, and then last year sort of receding to that substitute role off the bench. But she was still a really valuable player for Montana State last year. So she's a lot of fun to watch, and wishing the best for her out there in California.
There's also the factor where the other thing I think that it's really hard for fans to wrap their minds around, because generally most sports fans of college sports teams are anywhere between 10 and 50 years older than the players that they're watching. So you have massive, massive generational differences in just perspective on the world, life experience. Oh, back in my day, this is how we would have done it. Well, a lot of people that are saying that back in my day were in college like 10 years after World War II got finished. You know what I'm saying? Like these people are even older than these players' parents. So I thought Matt Brown of Extra Points newsletter had a great line in his latest newsletter. He said, "I hope we never get to a point in society where we expect college kids to see the world as how we see it and make decisions based on how we would make them, when we have anywhere between 10, 20, 30, 40 years worth of extra life experience. But also, we have no idea, unless you are 20 in 2025, you have no idea what it's like to be 20 in 2025. I thought that was an interesting point that Matt Brown made. But this got me to thinking that I think that the mass perception here, when you have a championship team where then a bunch of players leave, the perception of the outside fans is that what's going on internally?
Something's wrong.
There must be something wrong. And I think actually the perspective of young people is totally different than this. I can't remember who it was. It was one of our mutual colleagues that had worked at the Idaho State Journal when Idaho State's women had the great team that won, I can't remember, something like 26, 27 games. And they were a 13 seed. They had run it back, and they'd won the Big Sky tournament, and then they went to Kentucky and they played in the NCAA tournament, and they were competitive against that Kentucky team, and then they could have brought back several of the main contributors. Diaba Kanote was one of them. Dora Golish was one of them. And that team instead decided to part ways. And I remember the Idaho State Journal, one of our colleagues had an article. I can't remember which player it was that he was quoting, but the player was like, last year was a moment in time. And we know we're never going to get to replicate that because we're losing these seniors and we're losing this assistant coach. So we all just decided, rather than have this, let's try to run it back and almost unquestionably be disappointed in that quest to repeat. Let's just go our separate ways and just enjoy that as a memory that it was and just have it be a singular moment in time. And you just wonder if that's part of this Montana State deal, because it's not just the players that are transferring. They graduate Morales, they graduate Taylor Jansen, they graduate KJ Martin, and they had 4 seniors on last year's team, then you add 4 transfers to it. It's not the same team. It's not even close to the same team. So I just wonder, though, if these young people just have a much different perspective on that. So just compare and contrast that Idaho State team to this Montana State team, because I think they actually have similarities, even though those are a couple years apart.
Yeah, I mean, what happened with that Idaho State team actually is they got to see it all fall apart, right? Because they went to the NCAA tournament, and then they did bring everybody back the next year, and they weren't close to as good. I mean, they were still very good. They won the Big Sky regular season title the next year, and they brought Estefiores back, and Dora Golesh, and Diaba Kanate, and Tamika Whitwin, Montana Oltrogi. They brought that entire team back. They were the favorite the whole year. They won the Big Sky regular season title, and then they lost their first game at the conference tournament that year. And then it was the year after that everybody left, where Diaba Kanate and Tamika Whitman transferred out. Montana Oltrogi went to Northern Arizona for a couple years after that. So I think they got to see the downside of bringing everybody back for the next year, right? It's sometimes, even when you have the same talent, and they had 7 of the 8 players in their rotation coming back that next year, sometimes you just can't recapture that moment in time. Sometimes you can't recapture the chemistry. Sometimes you can't recapture the motivation, and that team got to see the downside of it in the year before everybody sort of split out and that team splintered away. So I think that's almost a bit of a cautionary tale for this Montana State team, and I think that the story of that team's a little bit of a silver lining for all the Montana State fans who are thinking, oh my goodness, the sky is falling, right? We're breaking up this championship team.
Right.
Sometimes bringing back the championship team doesn't really work, and I think a lot of what went wrong with that Idaho State team the next year is that they did bring everybody back, and they just, sometimes things get stagnant.
Sure.
Not saying that losing all this all-conference talent and Mara Dykstra and Natalie Picton, we talked about how good a player she is quote-unquote good for Montana State, but I think it gives Tricia Binford and that staff, right, a chance to build something new. And I think if you're a Montana State fan who's worried about it, that's sort of what you got to hold in your mind, is that this is a chance to build something new and move forward.
Here's a loaded question. Even despite all those losses that Montana State is going to incur on the women's basketball side, they still return Addison Harris, Taylor Chirick, Dylan Phillip.
Yep.
And they have a very highly regarded recruiting class coming in. But here's my loaded question. Which set of known returners would you rather have? Matt Koenig, Avery Waddington, and Emma Schubert, or Dylan Phillip, Addison Harris, and Taylor Chirick?
I mean,
it's a tough question, right?
It is.
And we proclaimed that the Lady Grizz were going to be among, if not the preseason favorites, because of what they returned. Yet Montana State could be right there with losing like 8 unbelievable players.
Yeah, it speaks to the depth that they had in that Montana State team last year. It also speaks to, I think, you're laughing because you asked me that question because you know how high I am personally on Addison Harris. I mean, I think that this is somebody who has the potential to be one of the best players in the conference. I feel like it's somebody who has the potential to step right into Mara Dykstra's shoes right away as soon as next year. But that's sort of what I'm getting at, right? Coulter, is sometimes if you believe in the talent identification and you believe in your recruiting and your development, sometimes players need to leave for the people coming up underneath them to get the oxygen, right, that they need to develop into their best selves. And I think that's a possibility for what's going to happen with that Montana State team next year. Did you notice I didn't really answer the question there?
But no, I mean, I guess the last piece of silver lining you'd have if you're Montana State is that Tricia Binford had the greatest team in her school's history, and they lost on a half-court buzzer beater to Idaho State. And then the next year they went to the NCAA tournament. And then she had the next greatest team in Montana State women's basketball history, and it got canceled. The tournament got canceled because of COVID. And the next year they came back out and they went to the NCAA tournament. And so now they have the next iteration of the greatest basketball team in Montana State history, and they're losing everybody to either graduation or the portal. You just know at this point that Tricia Binford is just going to have this team back to a Big Sky Conference, at least competitive level. I mean, they're going to be competitive in the league immediately.
No doubt.
But they'll be back to a championship level very quick. Like, if everything that you're hearing about Dylan Phillips' little sister is true, boom, you got your next point guard. And that's the other part is, like, Esmeralda Morales is a great player. Who came before her? Darian White. Who came before her? Like, you can just go down. Like, the last 6 point guards in Montana State have been first-team all-conference.
That's what Tricia Binford does.
That's what she does. She's a WNBA point guard who recruits small point guards like her, and she just crafts them into first-team all-league players. It's just, you have a huge sample size of this being consistently true.
And the other thing is the flip side of losing these players is an opportunity. I mean, these roster spots don't go to zero. Now you have the opportunity to fill these roster spots with other players, not only the freshmen that you're talking about bringing in, but same as the transfer portal takes away, Montana State now has the opportunity to add through the transfer portal in this offseason to fill those vacated spots that Mara Dykstra and Lexi Deaton and Natalie Picton are leaving blank, or leaving empty. And I think that they probably have a pretty decent selling point right this offseason in the transfer portal. Do you want to come to a team that won 30 games a year ago, made the NCAA tournament, is possibly on the verge of making school history and being competitive in the NCAA tournament, and also plays this really fast-paced, up-and-down style, really active, really aggressive? I think that people are looking at their roster now and just being like mentally putting zeros into those roster spots where Dykstra and Picton and Lexi Deaton were, and that's not going to be the case.
Andrew Houghton here on Nuanez Now, 102.9 ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Let's do a quick prep extra, probably presented by Farmers State Bank. Farmers State Bank, enriching the lives of Montanans since 1907. Just 2 pieces of coaching news that are impactful at the Class AA level. First, right here in Missoula, Quinn Chamberlain has been named the head coach of the Missoula Hellgate football team. Ryan Nelson resigned mid-offseason, this last offseason, in a little bit of a surprising move. Chamberlain had been at Florence High School during their great run to multiple Class B state championships. Then you had the whole fallout with the Pat Duchesne situation, where there was a sort of mutual parting of ways there, with Duchesne technically stepping aside, but was certainly under some heat. If you haven't heard the story, you can find it. It's been reported out on multiple news outlets. Anyways, Chamberlain then landed on his feet at Hellgate as the offensive coordinator. Now he's taken over as the head coach. We'll see if he can be different than every Hellgate coach that came before him over the last 25 years and get things going, or if he's just stuck in that land of 2 wins that has been the case for Hellgate football forever. The other coaching piece of news is that Great Falls High head coach Bob Howard has retired. He has led the Great Falls High Bison for 22 seasons. He's been to the state tournament many, many times, and he's led the Bison to 5 state tournament trophies, won the state championship in 2006. He was also recognized as the Montana Coaches Association Coach of the Year that year. He was elected to the Montana Coaches Association Hall of Fame in 2019. He's coached 2 Gatorade Players of the Year, Drew Wyman, who's now at the College of Idaho, and Brendan Howard, who was a really good player in high school, and then went on to play at Eastern Washington for a couple of years, and then Montana State Billings to finish out his career. So Bob Howard's just been around for a really long time. He is a old school type of coach. The press release was awesome. This is from the Great Falls High press release. It said, Bob is one of a kind. He's one of the remnants of a dying breed of coaches who live and breathe the sport of basketball. His teams were renowned for their effort and hard, clean play. They took a tremendous amount of pride in representing Great Falls High and the east side of Great Falls. We'll miss Coach Howard tremendously, and we wish him the best in retirement. Bob Howard looks like an old school basketball coach, and he was an old school basketball coach, and he did a great job, and that's a loss for the Great Falls community, because anybody that is dedicated to doing a job like that for a quarter century is fully dedicated to doing a job that is a thankless one and not a high-paying one, but certainly helps benefit the youth. So Great Falls High certainly probably make a good hire to replace them, and anybody that's willing to dedicate their time to coaching high school sports right now, I commend you, because I think it's a very, very important role in our society in general. So happy trails, happy retirement to Bob Howard. Obviously, his sons, Bobby Howard and Brendan Howard. Brendan was the younger one who went to Eastern and then went to MSUB. But his older son, Bobby Howard, was a All-Big Sky performer at Montana State. I actually think he lives in Missoula. He listens to the show from time to time. So I always love when I run into Bobby Howard. And more than just the sons, though, those Great Falls High teams were always good. They're well coached and played hard, and so he'll be tough to replace. Certainly had a lot of success there at Great Falls High. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio Prep Extra, probably presented by Farmers State Bank. Farmers State Bank, enriching the lives of Montanans since 1907. We'll take a break, come back, little track and field talk for you. Erin Wild, Whitefish product, who is a standout high jumper for the University of Montana track team. She's our guest next. Keep it right here. It's ESPN Radio.
For 20 years, there's been a sound that's helped define Missoula. A sound as unique as the people who call this place home. The Trail 103.3. We're grateful. We're honored. We remain true to the community and true to the music. Tune in for the celebration. Tune in for the party. Tune in for the next 20 years. We can hardly wait.
I can't wait.
The Trail 103.3.
Hardly wait.
In the Treasure State, University of Montana football is a way of life. Lithia Ford has long been a proud sponsor of Grizz football, and Lithia Ford of Missoula is thrilled to have several of the best Montana football seniors driving the best trucks in Montana. Aspen Sound is the premier car audio and accessory shop in Montana. Aspen Sound makes sure the boys are riding in style with tinted windows and state-of-the-art stereo systems. There's always a party in Montana. Whether you're going to a concert, a wedding, or a football game, the Montana Party Bus will get you there. Skyline Sports and ESPN MT cover the Big Sky with more depth than anyone. Check out SkylineSportsMT.com and tune in to Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula every day. My Montana Roots and Wear Your Roots clothing is your go-to spot for the most unique and comfortable lifestyle clothing you'll find anywhere. And get your custom t-shirts to support your favorite player. From 5 local businesses who love Montana, best of luck to the Grizz as they pursue another Big Sky Conference championship.
Attention, your locally owned and nationally known mattress firm thanks the Missoula community for 10 years of amazing support and growth. There's a huge remodel sale blowout before the doors close for their 2-week remodel. All inventory must go. Mattresses, adjustable bases, accessories, all drastically marked down to clear the showroom. Save it to 60% off on top name brands. If you've been waiting for that amazing deal, now is the time. Mattress Firm's remodel sale only April 1st through the 15th.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Academy and this station.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Several of the Big Sky's best men's basketball players have chosen elevated opportunities at the highest level of college hoops. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Over the weekend, 3 of the Big Sky's best players announced their intention to transfer to power programs, as Montana's Malik Moore, Northern Colorado's Langston Reynolds, and Northern Arizona's Carson Tout all made decisions. Moore, a 6'5 shooting guard who was a second-team All-Big Sky selection last season after averaging 12.4 points per game and shooting 40% from beyond the three-point line for the Big Sky champion Grizzlies, went on a visit to Maryland before choosing Xavier. The Musketeers are led by Richard Pitino, who took over for Sean Miller after Miller took the Texas job this offseason. Reynolds, a first-team All-Big Sky selection last year for Northern Colorado's co-champion team, is headed to Minnesota. The 6'4 combo guard will follow Nico Medved, the former Colorado State head coach who led the Rams to the second round of the NCAA tournament before taking over at Minnesota a few weeks ago. Reynolds shot 60% from the floor and averaged 16 points per game last season as the Bears won 25 games. And finally, Tout, who set the Big Sky single-season record for rebounds and led the United States of America in rebounds per game this last season, announced he is heading to Notre Dame. Tout had a chance to become the Big Sky's leader in career rebounds if he would have stayed at NAU. He finishes his Lumberjack career with 1,199 points and 1,078 rebounds.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
I can tell you my love for you will still be strong after the boys of summer have gone.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, the ESPN MT app, YouTube, Facebook, everywhere you can stream us. Appreciate you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in. The track and field season is in full force right now, and there's quite a few athletes from the state of Montana that are doing really, really well amongst their Big Sky Conference peers. Actually, when you go on the athletic.net, holy cow, there's a lot of great marks from various in-state products. Like right now, for example, in the women's 100 meters in the Big Sky Conference, the top mark is Jaden Wolf, who's a Billings West product, who's running there at Montana State, 11.53 seconds. Peyton Garrison shattered the school record in the 200 meters at the UNLV Rebel Invite a couple weeks ago, 23.43 seconds. That's smoking. That is nationally elite in the 200 meters. Kyler Christopher Moody has the top time for Montana State in the 1,500 meters. That's the top in the conference. And a whole bunch of other great marks. One of the top athletes right now leading the way for the Grizz track and field team has been a stalwart, and she continues to carry the day. One of the best high jumpers in the entire conference and in the entire region. Erin Wild is our upcoming guest here on Nuanez Now. We are efforting Erin at the moment. But she's had a great career so far. She's won multiple Big Sky Conference championships. And she's been the athlete of the week already once during the outdoor season. She's won 2 outdoor championships, by the way, and also won an indoor championship. So she's won 3 total championships during her career. She's sitting as, I guess we're going to have to ask her because there's multiple eligibilities in track. You got if you're a distance runner, you got your cross country fall season, you got your indoor winter season, and you got your spring season, so you can redshirt 3 times, and you can actually stagger those redshirts. For jumpers like her, she gets indoor and outdoor, so you still have 2 different redshirt seasons, so we'll find out what the status is on that. Other great marks in women's Big Sky Conference track and field so far from in-state athletes. Sydney Brewster and Emma Brensendale, each of Montana State, they're only sophomores. They have the top 2 marks in the shot put. Miley Hubble of Montana State has the top 10 in the 100-meter hurdle. So this is a trend here, right? You're hearing a lot of Montana State. That's a product of investment. I've talked about this a lot. To get to the recruiting standard that the Cats have gotten to, it's not just about the in-state kids. It's not just about the regional kids. You got to start recruiting and then developing on a national level. And Montana State's done that with their infrastructure improvements indoor and outdoor. Montana is now starting to reap the benefits of that as well. I think Doug Fraley's done a great job recruiting both in-state and around the region. The Grizz track and field coaches are phenomenal developers, no question, and I think that's why you're seeing athletes improve so much. And now the Montana track team has a great internal facility that's a big improvement as well. They're able to use, at least for certain disciplines, the indoor practice facility there on the UM campus, so that's also a boost. We go down to the elevated tax and accounting phone line. Welcome in one of the top female athletes there for the Grizz track and field team, Erin Wild. She's a 3-time Big Sky champion in the high jump. She's joined us once before, so welcome back, Erin. Thanks so much for taking some time for us today. How you doing? Looks like we are still efforting. We had her, but then we lost her, but that's okay. It's Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Andrew's going to give her a call back, so we'll get back to that in just a little while. She just texted me and said, "It's not connecting. Can you call me again?" So hopefully we can get that ironed out. When it comes to some of the best marks, Wild has one of the best marks for the Grizz right now in outdoor track and field. She has the second best mark in the high jump in the Big Sky Conference. Other top marks, Tara Olweiler from Montana. She's a sophomore. She's got the fourth best mark in the 200 meters. 24.13 is a really good time in the Big Sky. So she's going to be right in the mix with some of those elite Big Sky 200-meter runners from Montana State. Sophia Clark has a top 5 time in the 400 meters as well. She's only a freshman, so that's another great example of the recruiting. Sounds like we got Erin back on the elevated tax and accounting phone line. Erin, I know you've been on once before, but thanks for coming on again. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. First of all, just take us through early outdoor season here. I know you had the great mark at the meet in Missoula, which was kind of a co-rivalry duel as well as an open invite. But when you're a high jumper and you come off of the indoor season where you had a great year and then you go to jumping outside, what's the biggest transition point? What's the biggest change for you as a high jumper?
For me, the biggest change I would say is a bunch of the little details that are pretty hard to pay attention to. I feel indoors are pretty clustered, but when you move to outdoor, you have a lot more space and feels like you have a lot more just time to think about everything. So trying not to overthink a lot of things. But yeah.
Do you prefer one or the other, indoor or outdoor?
I mean, I love both. I love how indoor there's no weather problems or anything with high jump, but outdoor for sure. I've just done it for so long that I think I just prefer it a lot more.
Yeah, totally. I mean, growing up in Whitefish, there was no indoor track, right? You're only high jumping outside, I'm imagining, right?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Well, how much do you think that the indoor facility has helped you guys this year early on? Has that been a big boost for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I love our new indoor facility. It's definitely a huge help. We used to practice in a gym at the Champion Center there, and I feel for high jump, it's just really nice to have an open area and more of like a track to focus and practice on.
Do you feel like you guys have carried some momentum from a team perspective into this outdoor season? Because I know during the indoor, great finishes and pleasantly surprising finishes for both the Grizz and men's and women's teams, at least compared to the preseason polls. I know you guys probably expected to be very competitive, but you both finished high in the indoor championship meet. So did you carry some momentum from that into the outdoor season? And what's sort of the collective mentality of UM track and field right now?
For sure. I would say we all try to push each other like a family would. We're always there for each other, but we always want everyone to focus up and do the best they can. And I'm really happy with how we all did indoor. And I would say going into outdoor, we all want to continue that and just keep pushing, keep getting better.
Erin Wild joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. So tell us, I was going to announce you as a junior. Is that where your eligibility is at outdoor? I know it's kind of confusing in track because you get multiple red shirts. So where are you at in terms of your eligibility, both indoor and outdoor?
I'm a junior this year.
So junior, so you got this season and next season for both indoor and outdoor remaining.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, very good. What about just the sort of improvements you've made? I mean, how much would you credit just the coaching staff and the stuff that they've implemented? I know that Coach Fraley and his wife Erica are both particularly well known for the vertical jumps like the high jump and the pole vault and stuff like that. How have they sort of helped you and helped hone your skill set in high jump, and what have you learned from them?
I've learned so much from them. It's not even just in track. I look up to them just as role models, as people. I think they've done an awesome job with everyone, every event, and I'm always happy to go to practice. I'm always happy to see everyone, and I think they've made us more into a family than just teammates. And I think in college it's kind of rare to see a team care so much about each other when it's such a big team, but all of us are super close. All of us love to spend time with each other, and I'm just super grateful for the coaching. I personally wouldn't have been able to do any of it without Erica. I think coming into it, it was a really hard mental obstacle, and Erica was there, guided me through the way, and same with all my teammates. I think she's been there for everyone. So, yeah.
Well, take us through then your plan and your hopes for the rest of the outdoor season. You got several different meets. So what's in the immediate future? What's next? Are you going to California this week?
Yes. I think the next steps for me is to focus on a lot of the little things. I need to focus on some over-the-bar momentum and just pop and everything. But honestly, I'm super excited to go into the season. I don't know what's in store, and I just want to keep pushing, trying to get better.
The 5'10" mark you had at the Al Manual, was that where you kind of thought your baseline would be coming into the outdoor season? And then how do you sort of move the bar up, both relatively and figuratively and literally? How do you sort of improve on that mark?
I think 5'10" it's definitely a pretty good start compared to the starts I've had years prior. I wanted to get that mark kind of out of the way just as a mental block, and just know that it's outdoor, I can jump it. It's a good way to start it. And I think just focusing on the next bars coming up, I think every track athlete always wants to PR, but I think I need to pay attention on a lot of little things, and having meets to focus on that is going to be very helpful to when it comes to conference time.
Erin Wild here on Nuanez Now. She's a junior high jumper for the University of Montana women's track and field team. She's been a Big Sky Conference champion multiple times and a Big Sky Conference Athlete of the Week already during this outdoor season. But, Erin, you had a teammate win that award this week in Whitney Morrison, and I know that's a great story. We followed her since she was in high school as a girl that grew up in Missoula, and she had such a great high school career and then almost a non-existent college career until this year because she was so hurt. And now she's proven to be one of the great multi-athletes in the entire conference and won the indoor in the multis, and now is off to a great start after another really exceptional performance in the heptathlon last week. So as her teammate, how have you seen her sort of grow, and what's it like watching somebody that's gone through so much perform at such a high level now during her senior year?
It's really impressive. It's kind of nice to look up to. Like, all of us have different stories, and getting to see each other kind of push each other and finish strong. And it's really impressive, I think, just finishing first in the conference or finishing in the conference, scoring points. I think she's leading a lot of girls multis on our team to push them and make them succeed a little more. And I think she's a great role model on the team. Great teammate overall, great person.
Well, very good, and it should be fun to follow along. It's funny how fast these track seasons go once they get underway, but you still have about a month until the Big Sky Conference Outdoor Championships, which are coming up this year in Sacramento, California, and plenty of action in between then, including coming up this weekend at the Beach Invitational in Long Beach, California, as well as the Pacific Coast Invitational. So, Erin, we appreciate you taking some time today, and thanks so much for being here, and best of luck with the rest of your outdoor season.
Sweet, thank you.
Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. We'll see if she can continue to ascend, because it's almost like she hit the 5'10" when it was terrible weather, but it's almost like sometimes when you hit a huge mark, especially like a benchmark mark, like when she hit 6 feet during indoor, it sort of just like opens up this whole new realm of possibilities. I think if Aaron Wild could get to 6 feet outdoor, now you're talking like regionally and nationally relevant marks are within her grasp. She can do it. I mean, she did it indoor, so can she get there again? We'll see, but I think that's what's interesting about going to these big-time meets. Because sometimes, I think for runners, it no question pushes you and propels you forward because you're running in heats with people that are so fast. So even if you're just trying to keep up, you might just go PR. But I think in the jumps, it can go either way. Sometimes you say, okay, maybe I'm not even going to enter until I'm already at a really high height because I want to be able to compete with these big-time people. And then maybe you scratch and you mess around and it messes you up. Or maybe it's the other way around and you do thrive off of the elevated competition and you go hit another PR. So we'll see. But I do think that this next couple weeks with the Grizz track and field team being at these big-time meets down in California, I think we could see some breakthrough marks and some PRs. So we'll see if that holds true because that's sort of the way that it works this time of year. Then the Grizz will be back at home April 25th and 26th at Dorn Blizzard Field for the Montana Open. Then they have a road trip to the Bengal Invite at Pocatello at Idaho State. Then they got the Tom Gage Classic, which is the annual sort of invite at Montana State. And then the Big Sky Outdoor Track and Field Championships, May 14th through the 17th in Sacramento, California. So that'll be fun to follow along. Grizz softball back at home for one final homestand. Join Montana as they host Sac State for a 3-game series. This is April 25th and 26th at the Grizz softball field. Friday's action begins at 2 p.m. with a doubleheader followed by a senior day on Saturday. Also at noon on Friday and Saturday, you can cheer on the Grizz track and field teams with free admission right across the parking lot from the softball complex. So if you'd like to take in the final home meets for both softball and Grizz track and field, that is April 25th and 26th down there on the University of Montana campus. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, Treasure State Stars coming your way. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Elevated tax and State University of Montana football is a way of life. Lithia Ford has long been a proud sponsor of Grizz football, and Lithia Ford of Missoula is thrilled to have several of the best Montana football seniors driving the best trucks in Montana. Aspen Sound is the premier car audio and accessory shop in Montana. Aspen Sound makes sure the boys are riding in style with tinted windows and state-of-the-art stereo systems. There's always a party in Montana. Whether you're going to a concert, a wedding, or a football game, the Montana Party Bus will get you there. Skyline Sports and ESPN MT cover the Big Sky with more depth than anyone. Check out SkylineSportsMT.com and tune in to Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula every day. My Montana Roots and Wear Your Roots clothing is your go-to spot for the most unique and comfortable lifestyle clothing you'll find anywhere. And get your custom t-shirts to support your favorite player. From 5 local businesses who love Montana, best of luck to the Grizz as they pursue another Big Sky Conference championship.
What are you drinking?
I think I'll have a 56.
56 Counties American Light Lager, a beer for Montanans and friends of Montanans.
Access to Montana's great backyard is the best part of being a Grizzly. At the University of Montana, our classrooms are the mountain peaks, river valleys, and never-ending plains of the Big Sky country. We provide students with the hands-on training to protect and enjoy hunting, conservation, and stewardship. UM launches the careers of outdoor leaders so that they can protect our traditions and ensure they are passed down for future generations. Because what's made in Montana is remaking the world.
What is a jewelry design center?
JDC is a family-owned business with deep roots in Montana. Why Montana? Because this community made us family, made us artisans, made us believe in love, made us hometown heroes. Because this community made us shine. Why Montana? Because Montana is home.
At the Stone of Accord, our liquor store has an extensive selection of Irish whiskeys, wine, and local spirits. We also have exciting events daily, and our complimentary beverages are always served with a smile. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino. Bring the whole family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I'm laughing because we had some
Coulter, I don't know what's going on, man.
Okay,
We've got some bugs in the system back here. Whatever ghost is messing with my stuff today, I don't know what it is, but
don't worry.
I apologize.
My Zoom with Rainey sounds like he's got marbles in his mouth too. So I don't know what's going on. We got issues around here, but don't worry. We're still on the terrestrial radio. We're still on the stream. We're still on the TV. And we appreciate you for joining us. Let's dive into a Treasure State Stars. It's probably presented by Parkside Credit Union. Parkside Credit Union, the best place in Western Montana to get a loan because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes. Treasure State Star number 1, Missoula Big Sky product, who's now a senior at the University of Montana. She is rapidly affirming herself as one of the great multi-athletes after struggling through injuries for most of her college career. Whitney Morrison, the Big Sky Conference Women's Field Athlete of the Week this week, following her standout performance at the Brian Clay Multis over the weekend. Morrison set 4 personal best marks on her way to a heptathlon score of 5,327 over 2 days at the meet held at Azusa Pacific. The Missoula product registered the best score by a Grizz in the event since Erica McLeod won the Big Sky Championship with 5,425 points back in 2019. Morrison had PRs in the high jump, the 200 meters, the long jump, and the 800 meters, and that led to her career best score. She currently ranks 21st nationally. Her PRs included a 14.53 seconds in the 100-meter hurdles, a 5 foot 5.75 inches in the high jump, and she closed it out with a 36.5-foot toss in the shot put and a 25.44 in the 200 meters. She also had a long jump of 18 feet 8 and ran the 800 meters in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. She also threw the javelin 116 feet and 10 inches. So 21st in the country, pretty dang good for Whitney Morrison. This week's Big Sky Conference Track and Field Athlete of the Week for the Grizz track team. Thursday star number 2, Brooks Davis. He was on the show yesterday. I thought that he was the standout player of the Grizz spring game. I thought there was a lot of players that I thought flashed to me, but sometimes it's really hard for the hype to meet, like the rubber to meet the road when it comes to hype on a guy. Or sometimes you sort of manifest hype within your own head because you want to believe a certain overarching narrative to be true. Davis is super late to the game of football. Didn't start playing until late in high school. Then he was a 2-time All-League performer. Ended up earning a D1 scholarship to the Grizz. But it's his track times that stand out to me. He ran 10.65 in the 100-meter dash. That's flying, man, when he was in high school. He's also got baseball skills, so he's got footwork savvy, probably good hands, high-end eye coordination, spatial awareness. And I just think he could be a rising star, certainly, for the Grizz football team. But we'll see how it all manifests. But it's off to a good start if you judge by the spring game this last Friday. Thursday star number 3, Brody Grebe. He's been on this show many times in many capacities, but here he is now getting an award that's nationally prestigious. And so much of it stems from his academic exploits. The young man was not only a 3-time All-American as a football player, but he's also one of the great academic football players in the country. And last week he was awarded the Athletic Directors Association of America their National Scholar Athlete of the Year award. This was picked by FCS athletic directors across the country. The two winners are Brody Grebe of Montana State and Tommy McCormick of Idaho. So a couple Big Sky winners getting it done in the classroom. Grebe earns a $5,000 postgraduate scholarship, and this field included 52 academic all-stars. So this is pretty cool. Grebe, he's got one of the craziest capstone projects I've heard of a kid having. He invented this apparatus that grows algae year-round in Montana's harsh climate, and the byproduct of this growing algae can serve as both biofuel and feed for cattle. So this solves multiple problems if you have a cattle ranch, which he's from a cattle ranch, so talk about something that's going to improve his own, perhaps future business. He said, following the invention of this apparatus, I still have a dream of starting my own business. This is after his NFL dreams are done, whether that's soon or a long time from now. He said, the Norm Abjornson College of Engineering offers a Master's of Science and Innovation Management program that's really good for entrepreneurship. Norm Abjornson created the program and it's accelerated masters through the College of Engineering. That's something I looked into, and I knew I wanted to be involved in chemical engineering, petroleum engineering, and now this scholarship will give me that opportunity. Brody Grebe explained the science behind all this to me. It was way above my head, certainly. But, man, he's a smart guy and also a salt-of-the-earth guy, and we'll see where his NFL dreams might lead. But safe to say, he's got a pretty good foundation to fall back on. He could go get a job at an engineering firm in the blink of an eye, no question. He also has this invention that's going to carry him far. And, oh, by the way, he's got a cattle ranch in Millstone, Montana that he could probably fall back on as well. So Brody Grebe doing just fine for himself. Thursday star number 4, the Montana women's tennis team. They beat Montana State in a rivalry duel this last weekend. And they did it in thrilling fashion. So that's a big boost for the Grizz. It's been a weird time for Grizz women's tennis. They were so good last year, one of their first championships, Big Sky championships in a little while, and then they lost their best player. She jumped in the portal and went to Texas A&M. They were able to maintain their second best player, Kelsey Phillips, who was the Big Sky Freshman of the Year last year, and she got some offers elsewhere as well, but they were able to retain her, which is a big get, and this was a big win. It's the third time the Grizz women have beaten Montana State in a row. Only the second conference win for Montana, and only their fourth win overall. But if you're going to have an up-and-down season, you probably want to beat the rival, and that's exactly what they did. It had been a tough start to Big Sky play so far. They went 0-7. They got swept basically by Northern Arizona in Flagstaff, and they got swept in Missoula by Idaho. But then to beat Montana State 4-3 maybe gives them some momentum. With one conference match left for the Grizz women's tennis team. It's this Sunday at the Peak Racket Club in Missoula against Eastern Washington, and we'll see if they can play their way into the Big Sky Conference tournament field, which is in Phoenix, in 2 weeks. Thursday star number 5, a trio of Montana State women's golfers earned all-conference. Lauren Greeny, who joined us on the show yesterday, she was a first-team all-conference selection. Scarlett Whitig was a second-team all-conference selection. And Becca Cheddar, Miss Hole-in-One, is what we're going to start calling her. She was a honorable mention selection. She had a hole-in-one on a par 4 yesterday at the Big Sky Championships at the Wigwam Resort in Litchfield Park, Arizona. And that's part of a great hard charge by Montana State's women. Lauren Greeny joined us yesterday after shooting a first round of 1 over at 72. That had her in 11th place, but she was the big mover of the day. She shot a second round 69 to move to 1 under overall in the tournament. She's in a two-way tie for third place. Maddie Montoya, a day after shooting an opening round 1 under 70, shot another 1 under 70. So she is in second place for the Cats. You got Montoya alone in second, Lauren Greeny in a tie for third, and then Scarlett Whitig, she shot a 76 today, but she still sits in the top 10. She's in ninth at +3 overall for the tournament. So they're battling it out with Sac State. Sac State has a 10-stroke lead, but certainly still a ton to be decided. Montana faded from the pack a little bit today. They were 11 over as a team yesterday to be in third place. They shot 15 over today to fall back to fifth place. Raina Ports, who had the low round of the day yesterday to sit in second, she shot 5 over today, so she falls to 4 over for the tournament. She remains in 12th place. Elle Higgins, the top participant right now for the Grizz golf team, she sits at 7th place after a second round 72 following a first round even par 71. So she's 1 over for the tournament, Elle Higgins is. So plenty of Montana flavor at the Big Sky Conference Golf Championships in Litchfield Park, Arizona. We'll give you the final results tomorrow. Treasure State Stars probably presented by Parkside Credit Union, a great place in western Montana to get a loan because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes. Hour 1 in the books, hour 2 coming at you. We got free sandwiches from Taglieri, plus plenty of NBA talk. That's all on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.
Start your race.
So will you marry me in your future? Or maybe you do it all over again. Hi, I'm Brian Toon with Jewelry Design Center, inviting you to come see the largest selection of Will You Marry Me in the state of Montana. The brightest diamonds of every shape and size, unique settings built to last, and skilled jewelers on site offering free sizing and maintenance for life, because that's how long we want to be your jeweler. Jewelry Design Center in Missoula, on Brooks, across from the Montana Club.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. So if something happens to your tire on the road, we'll fix it, or we'll replace it, no questions asked. Other places make you pay extra for that kind of protection, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from Les.
And radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
All right, I got free Taglieri for you here in just a minute, but I just have to rant about something because This is my radio show, and I love to rant about things. No, but really, this is seriously one of the most. It's one of the most confusing and befuddling things to me as somebody that really tries to pride themselves on being fair and objective when it comes to analyzing sports. Sometimes players that we cover in the Big Sky Conference in both football and basketball, we see them, we see the talent that they have, and then they transfer to a higher level. They transfer to a power conference. And a lot of times you see that and you think, yep, that guy's going to succeed. Like when Dalton Connect left Northern Colorado, I was like, all right, I know Northern Colorado wasn't that good last year, but Dalton Connect is a high-waisted, long-armed, bouncy, three-level scorer who averaged 22 points per game on a bad team in Northern Colorado. When he gets to Tennessee, he's going to be productive. He's going to be good. Did I know he was going to be dropping 40 in SEC games and be the leading scorer in the country? No, I didn't know that. I don't think anybody knew that. I don't even think Rick Barnes knew that. But that was not like a total, oh man, what a flyer Tennessee took on Dalton Connect. That was very applicable. Like when Raekwon Battle transferred to West Virginia, all right, yep, I thought Raekwon Battle, he'll be able to play in games in the Big 12. It was, variable. Is he going to be a 8-point per game scorer? Is he going to be a 16-point per game scorer like he was? But either way, you can see the talent. And I'm not trying to hammer on specific guys, but the football part of this sometimes is crazy to me. Like, there's been guys that have transferred up, like Sebastian Valdez from Montana State who went to Washington. I figured he'd be, at the very least, good, and he was very good for the Huskies. Connor Moore, who just left the Cats for Michigan State. A lot of things would have to go against Connor Moore for that to be a bad recruitment job by Michigan State. But then there's other guys that transfer, and it just blows my mind. And the number one position I'm ranting about right now is wide receivers, because there's guys that are in the Big Sky Conference that can put up huge numbers. Because let's be real, the number one worst position group in the Big Sky Conference is corners. There is very, very few elite corners. That's why you don't see a parade of corners from the FCS powerhouses going out the door. You see guys that play all the other defensive positions that are getting developed at a really high level at the Dakota States and at the Montana schools, and they are having an opportunity to transfer up and be successful. You are not seeing a whole bunch of corners hit the portal and go be great at a higher level. Because if you are any sort of good, you're already at a higher level. Like, there is so many corners that can play corner at a higher level in the Power 5 than there's guys that are the 10th corner on their roster at Texas that are way better than any of the corners in the entire Big Sky Conference. Now, I don't think that's hyperbole at all. Here's what I'm getting at. Mark Hamper was a receiver at the University of Idaho. He had a nice sophomore season last year. He caught 49 passes for 961 yards and 6 touchdowns. He then parlayed that into an opportunity to go to Wisconsin. When that happened, I said on this show, and I also said in our Skyline Sports Twitter thread, I said, hey, God bless him, best of luck to him. That guy can't play in the Big Ten. Not yet, or maybe not at all. And it's mind-blowing because the guy went from a too slow, can't play receiver at the FCS level literally 3 years ago. No offers besides Idaho, and Idaho brought him in to play tight end. And then he, by circumstance and happenstance, got switched to receiver, and he produces. That's a good year. 49 catches, 961 yards, 6 touchdowns. But he wasn't even the best receiver on his team. And also, who are you doing it against? If you're not the best receiver on your team, that means you're doing it against the second-rate defensive back on such low-level, comparatively, college football teams. So the jump is so enormous. Guys that really are Power 5 or NFL caliber receivers, they put up just freak show numbers against FCS corners. Like, look what Samori Torre did. He caught like 88 passes for 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp was 100 catches for 1,750 and literally 17 to 20 touchdowns 4 years in a row. So what I'm getting at is I don't think that these receivers, when they transfer up and they go chase that big-time Big Ten money, I don't think they understand what they're leaving. I also think that perhaps one of the best chances you can have to go to the league is to just roast subpar Big Sky DBs and then go have a good pro day and maybe a good all-star game. But use your numbers to get invited to those things. Use your numbers to get to the NFL Combine, to get to the East-West Shrine Game, to get to the Shrine Bowl, whatever it might be. Anyways, I said in our group text, our Skyline Sports group text, that I did not believe Mark Hamper could play in the Big Ten. And we're not going to be able to find out because just 2 months into spring ball at Wisconsin, Mark Hamper's into the portal again. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's because he couldn't hang. I don't know if he thinks he's got another offer out there. And again, I don't know Mark Hamper. I've never talked to him. Andrew interviewed him once. He had him on our Vandals Weekly podcast last year. So I don't mean to pile on to that kid. He's just an example of this. Like, Andrew, remember how good Xavier Gilroy was at Idaho State? What the heck has he done? I know he's caught a couple passes at Arizona State, but wouldn't it just be better for the league, but also for him to be catching 12 touchdowns a year at Idaho State than sitting there toiling as like the fifth receiver at ASU?
And it's the one position where you can go off and put up those numbers at this level, right? Because if you have an opportunity like that, how many times are those guys going to get thrown the ball a game in the FCS? I mean, right. Xavier Guillory at Idaho State, if he'd stayed the last couple of years, he getting, 12 targets a game? 15 targets
with
a game?
With how much Idaho State throws the ball. I mean, Cody Hawkins, and if he continued to get better, too, now you're getting the ball 20 times a game. You could have 15 for 190 and 3 touchdowns on a given Saturday.
I mean, it's the Dylan Jones argument, right? I mean, at some point, people are still going to have questions about your numbers because you're putting them up in the Big Sky Conference and not in the FBS. But at some point, those numbers are going to be so overwhelming that you can't ignore them. That's what Dylan Jones did in basketball at Weber State. He made the gamble, hey, I'm staying at Weber State. They're going to have questions about my level of competition. But the numbers that I'm putting up, I'm going to do things that literally nobody in the nation is doing or has done in the last decade. I mean, not saying that Xavier Guillory or Mark Hamper could have gotten to that level, but you could put up some jaw-dropping numbers as a receiver in the Big Sky.
I mean, you go average a 22 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists like Dylan Jones did. People are going to give you're at least going to get a call to get a chance. Guillory actually had a little bit better of a season than I thought. He got 22 passes for 339 yards. He did catch 5 touchdowns.
And he popped up on that huge list of, I think Matt Miller did his top 600 prospects for this year's NFL draft on ESPN, and Xavier Guillory popped up on there. So he'll get a chance. He'll get into a camp, I think.
Yeah, I just think that, I mean, no matter who you are, where you're at, they're going to find you. And I just think that putting up big-time numbers gets your resume passed through the chain a little quicker. And then at the end of the day, it all just comes down to can you get in an all-star game and compete, and then can you run well on your pro day? Like it really is as simple as that. Samori Toure is a great example. Like he tore it up at Montana, he went to Nebraska, he had some good numbers. But what did it come down to? Does Samori Toure run 4.45? He did. He got drafted. That's it. Like if he runs 4.6, he doesn't get drafted. It's seriously as simple as that. So I just wonder. I don't know, man. I think that these guys are leaving. And that's the other thing. Like we were talking about in hour number 1. I don't want to be contradictory to myself because I also understand like why you would want to. First of all, I totally understand why you'd want to go to Arizona State, not Idaho State. I mean, no offense to Idaho State, but I get that. I also understand why you'd want to play on a top 5 team in college football and with better talent against better. I get that. As a competitor, you want to compete against the highest level and see where you're at. I get it. I also just think that sometimes there's no perspective there. And if the goal is to get to the league, I don't know, I can see it on both sides. Film against Pac-12 and Big Ten corners, good for your resume. Also, catching 90 passes for 1,500 yards, also good for your resume. So, I don't know. I just got triggered by the Mark Hamper into the portal again news because it's just so stupid for him. Like, if he doesn't land somewhere else, it just would be better for him to just be at Idaho and have a big year at Idaho. And then if you have another big year, now you can still go do this and you can go somewhere else that's a better fit and be more ready for it. It's just, I don't know, man. It's mind-bending the way that this whole thing has just evolved over these last 5 years.
I mean, I think a lot of the kids in the Big Sky in football particular can justify it to themselves because they haven't gotten the chance to compete at that highest level yet. I mean, Mark Hamper's coming out of West Linn, Oregon, and he hasn't really gotten the chance to go up against the top DBs in the country. I mean, Xavier Guillory's from Spokane, but I think for a lot of the football guys who are coming out of the Pacific Northwest, you're telling yourself, I haven't really tested myself against the top talent in the country yet because they're coming out of high school in the Pacific Northwest and then they're going Big Sky, right?
Right, exactly. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. All right, I promise you sandwiches. We got gift cards a gift card at least, to Taglieri, Tag Tuesday, every Tuesday here on Nuanez Now. You can use the gift card not just on the sandwiches. They are deliciously consistent, and that's what keeps you coming back for more. But they also have a great selection of Old World wine. They have a great selection of olive oils and pasta sauces. It's like a little Italian-style market there at Taglieri. 2 locations, one in the Sawmill District on Wyoming, and the other at the corner of Beckwith and Higgins. If you want a $25 gift card to Taglieri, Tag Tuesday right now on Nuanez Now. Call 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. I want to have a little air to breathe when it comes to this NBA conversation. So first of all, call us for Tag. Second of all, we'll be right back. We'll talk some NBA on the other side. Andrew Houghton, myself, getting you set up for the NBA playoffs, which begins tonight. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's ESPN Radio.
At Shields, we're anglers, endlessly seeking and refining techniques. We're hunters and storytellers because we've been out there. We're experts that put products and gear to the test so we can share that knowledge with you. At Shields, we understand your outdoor journey and the path you're on because we walk it too, every step of the way. Shields, right there with you.
When you buy tires at Les Schwab, you're getting more than just tires. You're getting America's best tire warranty, 60-day satisfaction guarantee, no hassle road hazard protection, and free maintenance for the life of your tires. So if something happens to your tire on the road, we'll fix it, or we'll replace it, no questions asked. Other places make you pay extra for that kind of protection, but at Les Schwab, it's included with every set of tires, because more warranty means less worry, and nobody stands by their tires like Les Schwab. Get more from Les.
Attention, your locally owned and nationally known mattress firm thanks the Missoula community for 10 years of amazing support and growth. There's a huge remodel sale blowout before the doors close for their 2-week remodel. All inventory must go. Mattresses, adjustable bases, accessories, all drastically marked down to clear the showroom. Save it to 60% off on top name brands. If you've been waiting for that amazing deal, now is the time. Mattress Firm's remodel sale only April 1st through the 15th.
Mattress Firm, where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.
Family to the Stone of Accord for a wonderful brunch. From traditional comfort food to eclectic specials, there's something for everyone to enjoy. And it wouldn't be a proper Missoula brunch without an Irish coffee and a mimosa. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino. At the Stone of Accord, we use the freshest ingredients to create our homemade traditional Irish classics, fresh salads, and creative specials. Come enjoy our warm, family-friendly atmosphere. The Stone of Accord, Irish fare with Montana flair, restaurant, liquor store, and casino.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
Several of the Big Sky's best men's basketball players have chosen elevated opportunities at the highest level of college hoops. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. Over the weekend, 3 of the Big Sky's best players announced their intention to transfer to power programs, as Montana's Malik Moore, Northern Colorado's Langston Reynolds, and Northern Arizona's Carson Tout all made decisions. Moore, a 6'5 shooting guard who was a second-team All-Big Sky selection last season after averaging 12.4 points per game and shooting 40% from beyond the three-point line for the Big Sky champion Grizzlies, went on a visit to Maryland before choosing Xavier. The Musketeers are led by Richard Patino, who took over for Sean Miller after Miller took the Texas job this offseason. Reynolds, a first-team All-Big Sky selection last year for Northern Colorado's co-champion team, is headed to Minnesota. The 6'4 combo guard will follow Nico Medved, the former Colorado State head coach who led the Rams to the second round of the NCAA tournament before taking over at Minnesota a few weeks ago. Reynolds shot 60% from the floor and averaged 16 points per game last season as the Bears won 25 games. And finally, Tout, who set the Big Sky single-season record for rebounds and led the United States of America in rebounds per game this last season, announced he is heading to Notre Dame. Tout had a chance to become the Big Sky's leader in career rebounds if he would have stayed at NAU. He finishes his Lumberjack career with 1,199 points and 1,078 rebounds.
Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
When you believe in things that you don't understand and you suffer, superstition ain't the way.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. It's so crazy. During the commercial breaks, I usually just scan Twitter real quick to see if there's any pertinent news to talk about here on the show. And right now, because there's only what 7 days left in the transfer portal window for college basketball, but also the transfer portal window just opened for college football, as Bobby Houck said following the spring game Friday. The geniuses of college football opened the portal again. So now we got another portal season for college football, even though that already happened twice in the midst of the last season and then after it. Anyways, there's always a piece of news. Here's one with a local angle, though. Carter Kraft is one of the best football players in the state at Helena High a couple years back. He made the unorthodox decision to go to Sacramento State. I can't ever remember a Montana high school football prospect going to Sac State. Well, Sac State's got some turnover going on. Andy Thompson resigned in the offseason. Andy Thompson recruiting Montana is not that unusual as a guy that played at Montana years ago. But Andy Thompson resigned to go to Stanford, and Carter Kraft was there, and now Brendan Marion takes over. So you have to expect there's going to be some roster turnover there for the Hornets, especially after spring ball. So Carter Kraft today entered in the portal. It's just interesting because he was a great high school football player in Montana. He comes from a great football family. His father who was his OC in high school, was the OC at Cal once upon a time when Aaron Rodgers was there. So he's got some football acumen. And I watched Carter Kraft at Marty Morneweg's quarterback camp a couple years ago. He's short-ish. I mean, he's 6 feet tall, but he's a great athlete, and that's what he's entering the portal as, is an athlete. So we'll see. I don't know. I just think it's fun when Montana kids are available because you'll see. We always can tell, or I guess we could always think and maybe wonder if they're going to find their way home. All right, let's talk some NBA. Been chopping at the bit to do this for a little while. So here's how it all finished up here in the NBA. In the Western Conference, the Thunder get the 1 seed. The Rockets get the 2 seed. The Lakers are the 3. The Nuggets are the 4. The Clippers are the 5. And the T-Wolves are the 6. So the first round series that we know that are set that begin on April 19th are Nuggets Clippers and Lakers T-Wolves. The Eastern Conference, the Cavs have the number 1 seed. The Celtics have the number 2 seed. The Knicks are the 3. The Pacers are the 4. The Bucks are the 5. The Pistons are the 6. So the series we have set are Pacers, Bucks, and Knicks, Pistons. And then, of course, the 1 and 2 seeds await the winners of the play-in games, or I guess the playoff. Andrew, I can never remember how this works. Is this just a straight up one and done play-in game, or is this a series? I still can't grasp how the new playoff format works.
Yep. So the 7 and the 8 play tonight.
Right.
Winner of that gets the 7 seed.
The 7 seed, and then the loser stays alive. Right.
Loser stays alive.
Yeah, now
they play the winner of the 9 versus 10 game for the last spot.
Right. So the 9-10 team has to win two games. If you are the 7-8 and the loser of that, but then you win in the winner of the 9-10 game, then you get in.
You get in. That's right.
Okay, so tonight's games, Atlanta and Orlando, that's the 7-8 in the East, and Memphis is at Golden State. And then tomorrow, Miami, Chicago, and that's in Chicago, and then Dallas is at Sacramento. I cannot believe Sacramento figured out a way to make the playoffs, even though I don't know if this even counts as the 10 seed who's probably going to lose. But
yeah, it's not Sacramento making it as much as it is just Phoenix completely imploding, right?
Gosh, if you're Phoenix, that is just so unbelievably unacceptable that you let Dallas and Sacramento finish ahead of you, given the disastrous season Sacramento had, fired their coach, traded their best player. Dallas, the same thing, traded their best player, and yet you still get in over the Suns. The Suns have to be the biggest disappointment in the NBA this year, right?
Yeah, absolutely no question. I mean, that's a team that, shoot, you remember Devin Booker's been in an NBA Finals with that team. They added Kevin Durant and Brad Beal, and now they're 36-46. I mean, a lot of other things went on there. None of those guys have really been healthy at the same time, but that's just awful. And yeah, that's going to get blown up this offseason. I would guess Kevin Durant, at the very least, is out of there this offseason.
Man, what a deal for Kevin Durant. Just another stop coming down the pipe. He's
It's okay. He can go back to his hometown Washington Wizards with Cooper Flagg when we get him number 1 in the draft, and that'll be the new super team.
Oh, boy. KD still got juice left in the tank?
He does, yeah. I mean, he's Kevin Durant. I mean, he's 7 feet tall, and he's got one of the prettiest jumpers in the game. I mean, he's the kind of guy who can play until he's 50, right? Because he's just his shot's still going to be as unblockable in 10 years as it is now. So he's still one of the most efficient scorers in the league. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I know Kevin Durant's become very polarizing, and that a lot of people don't like him because they think, I don't know, they think a lot of things of him. I think they think that he's immature and emotionally soft, and I think they don't like the team jumping that he's done. I still like Kevin Durant. I've always thought he was a fun guy to watch play, but more than that, I think he's also just a fun. I think he's an insightful guy that's very misunderstood, and I think he made some decisions in his career that were patterned by what the world at large deemed as the way that you get remembered as an all-time great, and then he got skewered for those decisions, right? Like we determined in the 1980s and the 1990s as an NBA universe that the way that you become an all-time great player is to win championships. And if you make moves within your career to do that, I don't know how we kill guys for that. Like Michael Jordan got drafted by the Bulls, and then they built a phenomenal team around him with one of the all-time great coaches. Magic Johnson got the great fortune of being drafted onto a team that already had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and James Worthy on it. I get the argument is that Kevin Durant had some great players with him in Oklahoma City, but I also don't think they're not linear. Like those guys made the finals when they were super young. I don't know it. Like there's this whole argument that Kevin Durant is a title chaser, and if he just would have stayed in OKC, he could have won 3, 4, or 5 rings. But instead, he went and chased 2 rings with the Golden State Warriors. So screw him. He's soft. He can't do it by himself. What if Oklahoma City never wins a championship?
Well, and look, the front office blew up that team before Kevin Durant left. The James Harden trade, one of the 3 stars there. The front, Kevin Durant wasn't the one making that decision to get him out of there.
Yeah, you can't blame Durant for it. Also, how are you going to kill a guy for being on one of the greatest teams in the history of the NBA?
One of the only chances in your career to do that. Remember, that was the year the salary cap spiked. It was the only year that he possibly could have joined that team. Once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, legitimately.
So he gets lured in by the most successful franchise in the NBA, by, at the exact moment, the greatest coach in the NBA, to play on the best team in the NBA. And he also has interests in Silicon Valley when it comes to investments in software development. and then he goes and wins multiple championships, and then we say, oh, this doesn't count. It's not the same as the other guys. He didn't grind it out. It's like, man, remember when Tim Duncan was one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA? Because he got drafted by the San Antonio Spurs when they have David Robinson already, and they also have one of the great coaches in the history of basketball. I don't know, man. I think that a lot of these guys' legacies 20 years from now are going to be very interesting to analyze. All right, enough about Kevin Durant and the Phoenix Suns because they didn't even make the playoffs. So, Andrew, of all of these first-round games, what intrigues you the most? I'm absolutely looking at Memphis Golden State. I think that looks like a great game. All the rest of these look like throwaways because I don't think any of these teams have a chance to make noise. But Memphis and Golden State, I mean, either one of those teams could be entertaining series against the Thunder or even if either way, I think they could contend against the Rockets. I think they could be contenders, or that could be compelling series as well.
Huge game tonight, right? Because I mean, what have we talked about a little bit in the last couple of weeks? Everybody in the West feels that the Rockets are gettable, even though they're the number 2 seed. I mean,
the Rockets, for those that don't follow this, the Rockets have the 8th highest betting odds to win the West. Right. 8th highest. They're behind Memphis, Golden State, and everybody else that we just named. The Rockets are the last playoff team in terms of betting odds in the Western Conference, in terms of long shot odds.
They're a young team. They're a great defensive team. I've been really impressed with what they've done on that end this year and what Ime Udoka has done as a coach. What it comes down to in the playoffs is who's got the ball in their hands at the end of the game for the Houston Rockets. I don't know who that's going to be. Is it going to be Fred VanVleet? Is it going to be Alperen Şengün? These are good players, but if the Warriors win this game tonight and they're the number 7 seed, I know who's going to be having the ball in their hands at the end of their games against the Rockets. It's going to be Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. I think that's an advantage. And the other thing is,
a big advantage.
The middle of the West was so tight. I mean, Houston is the number 2 seed and Golden State's the number 7. Well, Houston was a 52-win team and Golden State was a 48-win team this year. There's not a ton of separation there.
Totally.
So I think that both these teams here, Golden State and Memphis, who are playing tonight, both are thinking that series against Houston is gettable, and so I think we're going to see a great game between Golden State and Memphis tonight because there's a huge difference between having to play the 68-win Thunder if you lose tonight and then win the 8 seed later in the week, or playing the 52-win Houston Rockets if you just take care of business tonight and go get that 7 seed.
Ready for my worst bet of the whole year? I bet this.
Give it to me.
I bet this 6 weeks ago that the Miami Heat would not make the playoffs. And with 36 whopping wins, the Miami Heat still made the playoffs.
Well,
the 10
no,
seed
right?
count. I actually don't know. I don't know.
They got to get to the 8 seed, right? They got to win 2 games this week.
I actually just am wondering this. I'm contemplating this out loud.
I think you're still safe, man.
Okay, good. Let's go Bulls. Just get this over and done with. Because, gosh, the Miami Heat have been completely terrible. Did you see the First Take blatherings this morning? They're already doing the playoffs are just about to start.
I did not. The answer to that question is always going to be I did not.
Never. I know. I only saw this flash up on at the gym when I was lifting this morning. They're already doing the where's this guy going to go next, even though their teams are still alive. But they're saying Giannis to Miami, and that just makes me want to die. I don't know what I think of that. Miami's a great organization. I just don't know about the lure of Giannis away from Milwaukee, and that it just seems like a weird fit.
It's just the peak ESPN brain, man, because that's what they know is going to get clicks. It's going to be like,
that's right.
What city can we dump on? Milwaukee. What city can we mock every superstar going to? Miami.
Right.
So that just clicks together perfect in their brains there. I don't think that's going to happen.
All right, let's go rapid fire to blindsides. Questions just about this NBA playoffs. I'll start. Who is the most vulnerable of the top 4 seeds? The top 2 seeds in each of the conferences. Thunder and Rockets in the West, Cleveland Cavaliers and Boston Celtics in the East. I think that's a pretty slam dunk easy question.
Yeah, we talked about it. Houston Rockets, man. I mean, everybody thinks that this team is beatable in that first round or certainly in the second round. I think that this is a team that's done a great job putting together talent the last couple of years. I think it's a team that's built a really unique roster. I mean, some of the better defenders in the league. Amen Thompson has been sensational this year.
Daryl Morey's still the GM, right? Daryl Morey is still the GM? I believe he's still
I believe so, yeah.
What an evolution for him, because he basically created like Morey ball, which was like the Mike D'Antoni. No, Morey's with the 76ers, that's right.
Raphael Stone is the
okay.
is the Houston
I was going to
Rockets
say
GM.
to build this based on athleticism, toughness, and defense would be totally a departure for what Morey has done in the past. But I guess the fact that he's with the Sixers, he's not really doing much of anything because they're the other answer for the most disappointing team in the NBA, right? I mean, the Sixers had a disastrous year this year.
No doubt. Back to the Rockets. I mean, it's a well-balanced team. I'm looking at it here. I mean, you got 7 guys in double-figure scoring. Playoffs, that can be a blessing and a curse, right? Because, again, who does the ball go to at the end of the games? I'm not going to come out and say that whoever wins this play-in game tonight is going to beat the Rockets in the first round, but I think that's going to be one of the closer series in the first round, and I think that certainly they're the most vulnerable out of those 4 teams.
There's also this omnipresent narrative coming into this NBA playoffs where how much weight do you put in the regular season? If you won a ton of games, what did that do to actually benefit you? Certainly, the Thunder winning 68 games, it benefits them in getting them home court advantage for the duration of the playoffs. But then you also wonder, does it actually ironically hurt you because you emptied the tank so many times? You could have got the 1 seed with 58 wins instead of 68 wins and maybe load managed your guys. I'm not encouraging load management. I think that's bad for the fans, but I do think there's a science behind it. And you just wonder, like, some of these win totals, specifically Cleveland, Oklahoma City, and probably even Houston, you wonder if these teams just played above their head by trying so hard for the duration of the year, and good for them, but if that actually hurts them in the playoffs.
I think there's something to that, yeah. I mean, these veteran teams, they know how to manage themselves for the playoffs. We know, I mean, it's been a joke about LeBron for the last 10 years, right, that he's going to flip the switch when we get to the playoffs. But I don't think that it's a bad thing for these young teams like Oklahoma City and Houston in particular in the West to go all out in the regular season, just because these are teams that have not experienced a ton of winning before. Players that haven't experienced a ton of winning before. I think even in the regular season, every night that you just go out and win, you're building towards something. You're building that winning experience. So, you know, I don't think it's a bad thing for them to go out and do it, but I do think that they're a little bit overvalued, yeah.
Because it's like the Thunder, for example. The Thunder are very good, and they deserve to be the favorites coming into this NBA playoffs. Are they a full 20 games better than the Lakers? No. Are they a full 18 games better than the Nuggets? No, they're not. They're better, but it's slightly better. It's not crazy better. And so I hope that people read into that in their analysis of all of that, because you might think like, oh, this team won 68 games, this team won 48 games when they're playing in a 7-game series. The margin is much, much, much closer than that.
No, that's right, and leads me into my question here, Coulter. I mean, below Oklahoma City and Houston in the West, we have this huge gaggle of teams that have recognizable stars on them, veteran guys who have been in the playoffs
no question.
For years and years and years. You got the Lakers, LeBron and Luka. You got Denver, Nikola Jokic. You got the Clippers, James Harden and Kawhi. You got the Timberwolves, and Edwards. He hasn't been around for forever, but he's a recognizable name.
No question.
You got Golden State, of course, Steph and Jimmy Butler and Draymond. 5 teams, only 2 of those teams are making the second round. Are any of those teams making the conference finals? Which of those teams do you feel most confident about? I mean, these are teams and these are names that have been around the block. They got famous guys on them. Do you believe in any of these teams with veteran stars making a run?
I believe tremendously in the Lakers.
Yeah, I do too.
Part of it's is I'm a homer for the Lakers. I just love LeBron James and Luka Doncic. I just follow the Lakers more than any other team. I'm reading a book about the Lakers right now, all about the late 90s, early 2000s Shaq and Kobe Lakers, which, by the way, 3-Ring Circus by Jeff Pearlman. If you want some entertainment in your life, read this book. My God, every single story, you're like, wow, I can't believe that happened, but I also can believe that was exactly what was happening in 1999 in L.A. when Kobe Bryant was, 20 years old and making $15 million a year, back when that was an unbelievable, unheard of amount of money for a young man. I digress. I think the Lakers have been the team that's improved the most over the stretch run of the regular season. Part of that's because they traded for one of the 3 best players in the league. It's easy to improve when you trade for Luka. And I also think it's been one of the most seamless transitions that we've ever seen for superstars playing together. That's also not surprising to me because those 2 guys are 2 of the highest IQ players in the history of basketball in LeBron and Luka. But more than anything, the reason I think they could be playing the conference finals is the draw. Like I think the Lakers with home court advantage against the Timberwolves are going to take care of business in that series. Minnesota will give them some resistance for sure, but I just don't see Minnesota beating LA. They move on there, and then do they get a Rockets team that I think they would certainly be favored against, or
do they get home court advantage again?
Right, or do they get a home court advantage
Yeah.
again when they get the 7 seed? And if that 7 seed's Memphis, betting the Lakers all day long. If it's Golden State, which the NBA would love. I still think that like Golden State's a dangerous team. I would say they're probably I'd say Golden State's more dangerous than Houston, Minnesota, and the Clippers coming into this if they can get past the Grizzlies.
Interesting. Yeah, that home court advantage is going to be huge for the Lakers if they can get two rounds in a row.
Yes.
If the Rockets get knocked
Yes.
off. I mean, the Lakers are under 500 on the road this year, but they're 31-10 in LA. I mean, they're the team more than anybody.
What I mean, Austin Reeves looks like a Supermax guy when he's playing in LA.
Well, yeah, when he's playing alongside LeBron and Luka Doncic, it's just like it helps a little bit.
It helps for sure. That's the other thing, though, is what I was getting to is that the Warriors, I think, are one of the more dangerous teams in the West, but the Warriors have nothing for the Lakers. The Lakers have the best mismatches that you can find because they have those two guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and the team that they're really worried about is Denver, right? Because they don't have a big man, and Nikola Jokic is just going to feast.
Right. But that's the part about this matchups, though, is I think Denver is actually my third. I think that to handicap the West, it's Thunder, Lakers, Nuggets. The Lakers get so lucky, though, also because the Nuggets have to play Oklahoma City, and the Oklahoma City is a bad matchup for the Nuggets
because they can throw two big men at Jokic.
Exactly, and they can run and gun, and they can run. They're the only ones that even kind of have an answer for Jokic, but they also can play a different style than Denver. They also have answers for Jamal Murray. Whereas nobody really has answers for what the Lakers got, and that's going to be fascinating. If it is Lakers-Nuggets in the conference finals, coin toss, no clue. Lakers have home court, that's an advantage for sure.
Nuggets have knocked them out each of the last 2 years, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. If it's Thunder-Lakers, that's also a very, very intriguing matchup in the conference finals.
Yeah, I think that Western Conference is going to be a bloodbath. I mean, we haven't even barely talked about the Clippers here, who are the hottest out of this whole group. I mean, they've won 9 in a row, 8 in a row, I guess, going into the playoffs. It's just any of those teams from 3 to 7 or even to 8 with Memphis, you could talk yourself into making a run, but I'm right there with you on the Lakers.
Why have the Clippers been able to... Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, talking NBA playoffs. What has made the Clippers surge here? Or how are they doing this? Well, they're the team I haven't paid attention to at all.
Yeah, that's been interesting. Nobody's paid attention to the Clippers at all this year.
It's because Kawhi is playing again, right? Like
Kawhi is playing. That's why they're good. Yes, that answers your original question. Yes.
Like Kawhi just didn't play, and then nobody knew if he was
37 games this year.
Nobody knew if he was gonna play or not, and now he's just decided he's gonna play lately. And oh, by the way, we forgot like he was the best player in the world like 5 years ago, so he still has some of that in him. Kawhi has fallen completely out of favor for me. For all the criticism I think Durant doesn't deserve, Kawhi Leonard deserves all the criticism. Like, bro, you got to show up and play. But that is good for the NBA playoffs as a whole for a draw that he is back to playing because that's a very reputable record. I mean, this is a guy that was a Finals MVP not that long ago.
No, and the timing's worked out perfect for them. He missed the entire first half of the season. Well, what happened? Norman Powell had to step up. Norman Powell's scoring 22 points a game this year.
Norman Powell's always been kind of good.
Ivica Zubac has had a career year. I mean, both those guys had to step up when Kawhi was down to sort of carry them through the first part of the season.
Yeah.
Those guys are comfortable with more responsibility now, and you've got Kawhi. I mean, I don't know what it means to say working his way back into shape because every time Kawhi Leonard does that, the next injury is right around the corner. Right. For the last 7 years.
Right.
But he's back in the lineup now, and you've got those guys who are comfortable with that responsibility from when he was out from earlier in the season. It's an interesting team. It's a James Harden team in the playoffs, so I don't have them ahead of the Lakers or the Nuggets or the Warriors, but it's an interesting team in the Western Conference to stack this year.
One more question on the NBA, but we'll pay one more set of bills. We'll come back, and I'll ask Andrew about the East. I think it's the Cavs, Celtics versus the field. What does he think? That's next. Keep it right here. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.
20 years, there's been a sound that's helped define Missoula. A sound as unique as the people who call this place home. The Trail 1033. We're grateful. We're honored. We remain true to the community and true to the music. Tune in for the celebration. Tune in for the party. Tune in for the next 20 years. We can hardly wait.
I can't wait.
The Trail 1033.
Hardly wait.
In the Treasure State, University of Montana football is a way of life. Lithia Ford has long been a proud sponsor of Grizz football, and Lithia Ford of Missoula is thrilled to have several of the best Montana football seniors driving the best trucks in Montana. Aspen Sound is the premier car audio and accessory shop in Montana. Aspen Sound makes sure the boys are riding in style with tinted windows and state-of-the-art stereo systems. There's always a party in Montana. Whether you're going to a concert, a wedding, or a football game, the Montana Party Bus will get you there. Skyline Sports and ESPN MT cover the big sky with more depth than anyone. Check out SkylineSportsMT.com and tune in to Nuanez Now on 1029 ESPN Missoula every day. My Montana Roots and Wear Your Roots clothing is your go-to spot for the most unique and comfortable lifestyle clothing you'll find anywhere. And get your custom t-shirts to support your favorite player. From 5 local businesses who love Montana, best of luck to the Grizz as they pursue another Big Sky Conference championship.
Attention, your locally owned and nationally known mattress firm thanks the Missoula community for 10 years of amazing support and growth. There's a huge remodel sale blowout before the doors close for their 2-week remodel. All inventory must go. Mattresses, adjustable bases, accessories, all drastically marked down to clear the showroom. Save up to 60% off on top name brands. If you've been waiting for that amazing deal, now is the time. Mattress Firm's remodel sale only April 1st through the 15th.
Where it's easy to get a great night's sleep.com.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
Felt like it, just the way that I have fell down around the bed. And I recall my fall from grace. Another time, another place.
Welcome back. Oh, it's now ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app, as well as our YouTube channel, Facebook Live, Twitch, all the above. Missing the show, you can find it on the Nuanez Now podcast. Probably presented by the M Store, where they're all Grizz all the time. The Montana State Bookstore, your best place for blue and gold on game day or any other day. And Elevated Tax, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch. NBA playoffs begin tonight with the play-in games. But I think that, especially in the East, the brackets are a bit top-heavy. I actually think that it would be shocking if anybody but Cleveland and Boston was playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. What say you, Andrew? Who has the best chance of breaking up that proclamation?
I think it's the number 5 seed. I think it's the Milwaukee Bucks. And I think that...
Because they still have one of the best players.
They have one of the best players. They're hot going into it. They've won their last 8 coming into the playoffs. I think, ironically, Coulter, the really, really unfortunate Damian Lillard injury, the blood clots that have put him out sort of indefinitely, although there are rumbling. He's certainly going to miss the first round, although there are rumblings that he may be back later in the playoffs. Really unfortunate and tragic situation for one of the, I think, most beloved players in the league. However, I think that sort of allowed the Bucks to focus on the to sort of drop all their extraneous concerns about how it's going to work with Giannis and Dame and who needs to run the pick and rolls and who has the ball in their hand, and just sort of coalesce around this identity of, hey, we have Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's going to get the ball, he's going to go to the basket, and he's going to kick out to shooters, and that's our entire identity, and we don't really do anything else other than that, and it's been working for them. Like I said, they've won 8 in a row. They're actually the top three-point shooting team in terms of percentage in the NBA. And I think it looks a little bit like the old LeBron Miami teams, where it's just one guy with the ball in his hands. You surround him with a ton of shooters, and you let him go to work, and it works if that guy's one of the best 5 players in the world, and that's what the Bucks have now with Giannis. But I think I don't think they have a great shot to knock off one of the top 2, but I think they're the best option in the East.
I agree with that. It's funny because I think that one thing that some of the general sporting public doesn't like about the NBA is that it is as simple as, do you have one of the best players in the NBA? And if you do, in the playoffs, you absolutely have a chance. If not, you are heavily favored. That is what I love about it. Like, how many other sports do you watch where at the end of the game, you're the best players, the guys you tuned in to see or that you paid money to get a ticket to see, they don't have anything to do with the game? Like, this is the Mike Trout quandary, right? Mike Trout never makes the playoffs, and if he did, you'd only get to see him hit 4 times in the playoffs. Guess what you get to see at the stretch run of a Lakers game? The ball in Luka Doncic's hands. Guess who's going to have the ball at the end of the Pacers games and the Bucks games? Giannis and Tyrese Haliburton. Like, the best players are going to be not just influencing, the key factor. And that is what I love about it. And I know some people think that it's too predictable or whatever, but I just think that's what makes the NBA playoffs great.
Yeah, it's going to be sweet, and I think we might see that with the Bucks. I think that this Pacers series is actually going to be one of the top series of the first round. These teams have had some battles in the first round. Well, Giannis is healthy for this one. I think he's going to come into it with a vengeance. And I just don't think there's anybody else in the East. Coulter, you know, the New York Knicks are the number 3 seed. Knicks haven't beaten the Cavs or the Celtics this year.
Right.
0 for 8.
Right.
So I think that really, as opposed to talking about the Western Conference, where we got to mention 7 or 8 teams, I think the Eastern Conference is going to come down to these 2 teams, and I'm actually cannot wait to see the presumed conference final between the Cavs and the Celtics.
My biggest storyline out of the East is, can the Cavs carry the momentum of the regular season? Because they went absolutely pedal to the metal to get to this number 1 seed. The Celtics have quietly had an excellent year, and they're the defending champs. I mean, they had a stretch this year where they won 15 out of 16, and nobody talked about it because Oklahoma won 68 out of 82, and Cleveland won 64 out of 82. So I think that there is maybe an underlying lack of hype around the team that's actually the defending champions and should be probably the betting favorite to win this entire thing.
I have to agree with you. If I'd got to pick a team going into it, I don't like to do it, but I think the Boston Celtics are the best set up out of any of these teams that we've talked about to win and to come back and to repeat. But it'll be great to watch it all.
I don't like making finals predictions, but I love making conference finals predictions. I got Thunder versus Lakers in the West. I got Cavs versus Celtics in the East. We'll see how it all plays out. The NBA playoffs begin tonight with some of the play-in games. We'll keep you updated throughout the rest of the NBA playoffs. Tomorrow, we'll have all sorts of fun, and we'll see you at 4 p.m. We appreciate you for tuning in. Thanks to Andrew Houghton for chipping in all show long. And thanks to you for listening. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.